Good morning, Basecamp.
All right.
Good morning, Nikola.
Good morning, Lola.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Youngin. So my name is Lola Oyelayo-Pearson. I head up the commerce and consumer product team at Mysten Labs. And I'm delighted to have Nikola here today talking to us from the Visa Crypto team. I want to kick off. I've got my notes on my phone. I think if you could just tell the audience a little bit about your role and the Visa Crypto team in general.
Thank you so much, Lola. An absolute pleasure to be here today. My name is Nikola Plecas, and I head commercialization for Visa Crypto globally. At Visa, we always look at different new payments technologies and kind of look to find ways in which they can improve existing products and services and add value to any kind of forms of money movement. And blockchain and crypto definitely fall into that category. They're exciting new technologies for us to explore and kind of learn more about it. And in my role, I'm focusing on a number of different areas, specifically looking to work with the ecosystem and understand what are the pain points and how we can improve and make it easier to effectively use our existing kind of network of 14,500 plus banks and 100 million plus merchant endpoints and connect to the exciting new world of crypto and crypto platforms.
I love that. So one of the real talk elements, I don't know about anyone else in the audience, but it's a real shit show trying to buy crypto with a Visa card right now. So I'm interested in the trends that you see from the Visa side around consumer behaviors and expectations and how you're stepping up to kind of respond to those.
Yeah, I would say, from our angle, we are seeing a couple of really interesting trends when it comes to consumers and how they perceive crypto and where they want to go with it. I would say the first one is more like a deeper trend, which started many years ago, which is trying to find ways in which consumers can interact with their financial services and payments application and kind of demanding more out of them. The trend started with neobanks, which have greatly improved the UX, UI, and really made it much easier for you as a user to consume any aspects of financial services and kind of get more utility out of existing relationships with your financial services provider. And crypto is no different there. Consumers are looking to find higher utility of their crypto, and one of the ways for that is to effectively use it to make payments and use it in your everyday life. Kind of use it to buy a ticket to come to this conference, use it to go and enjoy one of the amazing restaurants in Paris, or even use it to buy coffee in the morning. And this is what we at Visa call off-ramp, i.e. moving away from your crypto and converting it into fiat. And we have a number of different ways in which we partner with the ecosystem. First and foremost, by allowing them to issue a Visa credential against that balance and kind of have it accepted anywhere Visa is accepted. And secondly, by enabling an off-ramp to your existing kind of Visa card using Visa Direct. I'd say secondly, which is really interesting, and we heard some of that in the previous conversation, is this aspects of consumers wanting to get more out of their rewards and loyalty programs. There's kind of two different areas here. One is more traditional, which is your kind of existing cashback type of offer on any type of card product that you have. And having crypto there has generated a lot of interest and excitement over the last couple of years, and consumers now are really looking and asking for that as just another way to reward them on their existing spend. And secondly, and I would say more excitingly, is this concept of building a community and getting more out of the gamification and kind of learning how you can effectively engage more with the consumer. And I think the partnership you kind of announced with Revolut is a great example of that.
Yeah.
And this is something we've been seeing a lot in the market as well.
Yeah, I mean, if for those who aren't aware, so Revolut is a neobank here in Europe, and you can buy Sui inside your Revolut app, and you can technically pay with Sui, but it's kind of a bit of a swap behind the scenes that allows you to use Sui with your card. I mean, I think this is a little bit off the cuff. That's an interesting example because I think the landscape of payment solutions that builders can rely on is very fragmented. But it does seem like Visa is coming up more often. I've seen a few of my neobank cards used to be a MasterCard. Now they're Visas. They're reissuing them. So it feels like you guys are doing a little bit more progressive work in the neobank and emerging consumer space. I'm interested in what you said about loyalty as like one of the sticky elements. Like, what are you guys doing to maybe push on that a little bit more in the coming years as it relates to crypto payment flows?
Yeah, so we're looking to kind of establish exciting partnerships with the players in the space, and we partner with smart media globally to enable like a more broad kind of loyalty refresh. And this is definitely an area where, you know, we are seeing more interest from our banking clients, and they're looking for ways in which not necessarily just get a traditional loyalty program, but partner with the kind of the prospects and players in the crypto space to find new ways to engage with consumers. Because effectively what it's coming down to is a lot of the banks are trying to, and neobanks are trying to find net new ways to kind of draw you into their ecosystem, into their app. And I would say gamification and loyalty is a big area where a lot of our clients are exploring at the moment.
Okay. Let's get a little bit more spicy.
All right.
So Visa Crypto is not picking a winner in the chain wars. But I think we're all quite interested in what characteristics you look at when it comes to L1, L2s, L70s, if you want to go to other chains. What are you actually looking at from the network infrastructure that makes Visa more interested in the emergence of possibilities in this space?
It's a great question. I never heard about L17, but...
I mean, let's just... There might be, you never know.
There might be. I would say, like, first and foremost, from our perspective, the reason why we're exploring blockchain technology as a whole, because we see it as potentially being very accretive and adding value in the way you're kind of facilitating money movement and payments on an everyday basis. And, you know, there are two kind of elements of that. One is the actual blockchain network, which, you know, allows you to have a unified kind of share ledger, which all the participants can use and track at any given point in time and have visibility of the transactions in case of a public blockchain network. And second is the tokens, are the lines of code running across the networks, which represent different assets, including fiat, potentially securities, etc. And these, today, the digital ecosystem exists in like, you know, thousands of non-unified ledgers, which exist separately and make it sometimes difficult to actually utilize them and build an application which can access and give consumers a better product. Now, when it comes to, you know, what we are looking at, I would say that from a blockchain perspective, we are looking at in which ways can they deliver potentially like solutions which can create like millions or billions of payments on an annual or kind of maybe even, you know, monthly basis in a way which allows you to have a uptime which is nearly 100%. Right, so you need to have, if we are going to look into meaningfully moving away from, or even kind of upgrading the existing systems and propositions, some of the features that make them so prevalent and powerful need to be replicated by the blockchain industry. So one of them definitely is the ability to allow you to execute payments without actually thinking what's in the backend, just using a tap and, you know, using authentication on your phone and making it almost like a experience which is similar to what we have today, but just running on a different like ledger behind it. And I would say, secondly, it's important to know that from a consumer perspective, one of the reasons why you know you're using the existing payments infrastructure because there are a number of features built in which allow you as a consumer to have certain protection and certain rights, and there are rules which govern these transactions. So, for example, imagine you go to a store and you buy a new TV and you come home, actually the TV is broken, right? So if you use a existing kind of, say, Visa card, there are ways for you as a consumer to claim a chargeback and in some instances, for example, if somebody steals your card, claim fraud. Mm-hmm. We are still at, I would say, an early stage in the blockchain world. There are definitely solutions exploring this, but these are some of the kind of high-level features which I would say are very important if we're looking to utilize blockchains to their full power and enable kind of new kind of payment experiences.
It's interesting you say that because my next question was going to be what makes Sui really interesting, but I want to seed a response because I think one of the, you know, I care a lot about that consumer protection angle. One of the challenges with our current payment network is we can't express anything in a transaction. So it's just a payment. And so a TV looks like a purchase in the same way that maybe an NFT purchase looks like. But you probably know what you're getting with an NFT when you buy it. So the world of refunds and chargebacks doesn't quite apply in the same way. And so starting to think about how would you use systems that allow transactions to come with a little bit more expression so you understand these transactions come with a type of consumer protection. These transactions don't need the same level of protection or they need a different version. that's something that I think could be really interesting with a network like Sui, where, again, the transactions come with this object element where you can express a lot of information about what's being transacted on the network, and hopefully that can get pushed into the payments flow as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that these types of features are very important if you're looking to build payments at scale. Payments is a very regulated business, and there are, I would say, probably if you look at 10 different jurisdictions and 10 different countries, you're probably going to have like differences between each and every one of those jurisdictions. And I would say like that's probably where we're going to go with the blockchain infrastructure and crypto as well. You're going to have decentralized regulation, which will be different across different geographies. And I would say that's probably a sign of industry maturing and industry getting actually ready to support some of these use cases, because once you have ability to get regulated, that gives you an opportunity actually to build meaningful applications you can scale. Yeah,
I'm going to come back to the regulatory question in a second, but I guess as you and the Visa Crypto team, as you guys have been observing the emergence of chains, these various solutions available, what do you identify as still missing in the technology or the experiences themselves that we've just got to do better on to kind of meet the expectations of a network like Visa?
Absolutely. I would give a general answer and one personal one.
Okay.
I would say definitely having ability to effectively add additional privacy to the transactions is something that we are very much looking into. And coupled with some form of digital identity, I think that's where the direction that industry is heading into, kind of trying to find solutions that not necessarily mimic the existing kind of infrastructure and the way payments are conducted, but to borrow the phrase from a previous panel, like you don't need to reinvent the wheel. If something is working and functioning, there might be like reasons and there might be existing regulations that govern that, and that would, if you can follow them and adhere to them, to enable you to build something that you can quickly scale and quickly kind of build on. I would say on a personal note, I still find that the UX and UI can be greatly improved. We have moved leaps and bounds in the last 10 years. I remember when I first opened an account with Crypto Exchange, it wasn't really a great experience. I got like my password in my Hotmail in junk, and I kind of didn't know if I'm going to get any of my money back. But more than that, when it comes to kind of payments and wallets, we need to move away from terminology such as crypto native. We need to focus about products and something that consumers are looking to access and use. If you have a situation where you need to understand and read upon number of threads on Reddit or ask 10 friends to use an app, it's not really a great app. So I would say on that side, there is still a lot to be done. I've seen a lot of great progress and kind of exciting new solutions there, but in my opinion, we still have some time to go.
Yeah, I think in general, the bar needs to go up on all of the Web3 application space around UX, for sure. So coming back to the regulatory considerations, because this I think is for a lot of people, Web3 has this pull because it's decentralized regulation. So it's programmable regulation. Therefore, it's not the opinion of a state or, a particular institution. But as you say, there's a lot of consumer protection that's baked into payment regs. So I know you've been doing a lot of work recently on evolving some regulations that support fiat to digital asset purchase flows on blockchain. So tell us a little bit about, generally how Visa is thinking about supporting regulation that is, there for a good reason, but also making it maybe a bit easier for participation from crypto products and services so that they can be compliant in that sense.
Yeah, Veggie, that's a great question. So we've been looking at what we call acceptance, the way that, when you're using your Visa credential, we want to make sure that you have a great experience. We want to make sure that you feel that you're protected, but also that you know what you're buying. And the other side of the equation, we want to make sure that, the merchant is well-defined and that, the merchant is supported and that there are ways in which we can actually help them grow. So we have been focusing a lot in thinking of what ways can we evolve and kind of move together with the industry to support new flows and new type of prospects and new type of businesses that are being built that they're not maybe like reflected in our existing rules and regulations.
Yeah.
So we spent like last, I would say, 12 months looking into this space and finding new ways in which we can support these businesses. Sometimes it revolves around what level of information do you need to share with the consumer, like before and after a purchase of good and service.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are related to kind of how we can support some of the existing on and off ramp players to find better ways in which they can categorize the transactions and reflect their true nature, such that if you're buying an NFT from a gaming or kind of entertainment studio that is truly only used in their ecosystem, that you actually, from our perspective, you are purchasing something from a gaming or entertainment studio rather than buying crypto.
So is it, in your view, this, because we've talked a lot about this, but I think a lot of people, the complexity of the payments world is hard to understand. So the difference is, am I buying a crypto token that is publicly available, or am I buying an asset that's available on a blockchain that exists inside a closed environment? And in the secondary case, the regulation that you've been working on is trying to make it easier for purchases to happen in fiat because it's less risky.
Correct. We're looking for ways in which we can categorize those purchases to reflect their true nature from a consumer perspective.
Yeah.
Such that if you're buying something in a kind of closed loop gaming ecosystem, it's truly like no different than purchasing a game on Steam or one of the other kind of Xbox, Sony, etc. Yeah. And that's very different to you loading your general purpose crypto wallet maybe with a token, because from our perspective, that means that you're truly purchasing cryptocurrency, which can then be used probably for a number of different use cases. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of hard to categorize that up front.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're looking forward to that, making that a little bit easier. I want to pick up on something else that you said earlier on around privacy. So this is often, I think a lot of us think about privacy in very different ways when it comes to Web3, because everything on chain is public. But what specifically are your expectations from a network perspective? Like, what is it that you're expecting to be private? Because we talked earlier on as well about the public ledger and the accountability and the transparency that you do want there. What does it mean to actually deliver like something privacy on chain as an experience? What would you like to see there?
I think it really depends on what the regulators and financial institutions are looking to
Okay, so secure. It's a regulatory angle.
Absolutely. So, and the unhelpful answer is that it's emerging, and it's very likely to be, like I mentioned earlier, different across different jurisdictions. And adhering to those different regulatory regimes in different jurisdictions is actually how payments works today. And as the regulation around blockchain and transferring value and kind of moving assets evolves, we are looking for ways to participate in that ecosystem together with partners. And we do expect the partners and of course ourselves to adhere to those new and incoming rules that are usually designed with an objective to help those ecosystems grow in a healthy and kind of safe and secure way.
Yeah. I did use that also as a hook, because I think later this year on Sui, we will have private transactions available where a transaction can exist in public on the ledger, but only the sender and receiver know the actual details of the transaction. So we are thinking about that as well, because we want to enable compliance scenarios for institutions that care about that kind of thing. Just a couple more questions here. So from a builder's perspective, and for the people in our audience who are actually problem solving, so great ideas exist. They want to bring in a mass audience. They want to allow people to onboard with their basic everyday payment cards. What is the advice that you would give to them about the way in which they're maybe building on blockchain that would help them have a better experience of payment networks and availability of fiat solutions for them?
That's a great question. So I would say, first and foremost, depending on where you want to launch and kind of identifying the key markets or maybe regions that you want to participate, can really help you identify what aspects of the local regulation are the ones you need to pay attention to. And that kind of from there, it really depends on what type of expectation, ambition you have in terms of developing your product for consumers when it comes to payments. And what I mean by this is, if you're looking to enable let's say a card link credential that kind of creates almost like a super app, that will require you to work with a number of different enablers in the system, including BIN sponsors, issue processor, program managers. But if you're just looking for ways to kind of on and off ramp, that kind of makes it slightly easier in terms of who you need to work with from a payments infrastructure perspective. There are like acquirers that can enable you to do both.
Okay. I have one final question for you, which is a little bit of a surprise question, but I guess we've spoken a lot about how blockchain can come to the table a little bit better for the regulatory environment that payments exist in. Is there a way in which blockchain could improve that environment? Like, are there specific things that maybe the Visa crypto team is thinking about where our technology could actually make payment networks less complicated, easier, faster, more stable? Like, whatever ideas that you guys are thinking about that are about actually using the technology better to make the whole landscape better overall.
So we are definitely, I can talk about one of the product initiatives that we have.
Yeah.
So we are exploring digital currency settlement, allowing our principal members to settle with us or be settled in digital currencies over blockchain networks. We see this as a way to kind of explore how we can improve our existing treasury infrastructure and make it potentially more efficient, faster, and lead towards availability at kind of extending from the existing 5 days a week, including public holidays. Definitely blockchains there have a potential to improve the existing rails and kind of address some of the limitations that we see today in the way we are kind of settling with our clients. And secondly, I would say that from a personal perspective, I see that blockchains have a great opportunity to actually enhance some of the existing compliance and kind of risk areas and kind of address them in different ways. Because if you have a way to kind of track and see all transactions in a faster, more efficient way, that in itself opens up a way to build net new kind of, say, risk products, which can help you understand how to score transactions in ways which maybe it was not possible before.
100%, and I'm very excited about announcements about us partnering with Visa Crypto on exploring some of that. Certainly because I think some of the experimentation that you guys have been doing, those chains do not have 100% uptime. Nikola, thank you so much for joining me on stage today, and thank you for being a part of Sui Basecamp.
Thank you for having me.